Hey y'all, in today's video I'm going to be building this wood storage rack and this storage shelf. So this is the garage and this is the wall that we will be building our storage on. The first thing we will be doing is building a wood storage rack so that we can get rid of this catastrophe. So these are our designs here. On the left is our shelves and on our right is our wood storage rack. It'll be 8 feet tall. Here is our design from above, and this is our cut list. The first thing I did was lay down a sheet of melamine and mark out the base for my wood storage rack. Next, I cut out my base using a guide and a circular saw. Next, I cut out the pieces that'll make up our shelves. As you can see here, I wasn't perfect with my circular saw, so I pulled out my table saw to make sure that all of my shelves were the same width. Next, I pulled out a pocket hole jig and cut a bunch of pocket holes to secure my shelves. Next, I drilled some pocket holes in the uprights. These holes will be used to attach it to the floor and to the back wall. Next, I laid out the spacing on my bottom sheet. Then I attached a sheet of plywood to the back wall to attach my shelves to. Unfortunately, there's a gap in my wall all the way around my garage. My workaround was to use a 2x6 as a spacer and then attach my sheet of plywood to the 2x6. After all of that, I was finally able to attach my piece of plywood to the wall. Too bad for you?
Jeez, I was just coming to see what it would do. Is it that? That's 2.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to see something more exciting. Careful now.
They've been good since that one.
Careful now. You're brave. Shit your pants.
I got a lot of pants. If you haven't noticed yet, these drain cleanouts are in the way, so I'm going to build a little box around them to protect them from my plywood. I did this by building a small frame around them using 2x4s. I then laid out my shelf locations on the full sheets of plywood. I decided to use some quarter round to help support my shelves. I first cut some pieces to length and then attached them using my nail gun. After moving the first wall into place, I used the pocket holes to attach it to the floor. And here's a close-up of me using the pocket holes to attach the sheets of plywood together. Next was the second sheet of plywood, and then the first shelf. It's a good thing I'm skinny. After fully attaching the other full sheet of plywood, I took out the bottom shelf and added the other 3 shelves starting at the top. Alright, so here's the completed shelves. The top 2 shelves are 1 foot each, the middle shelf is 2 feet, and the bottom shelf is 4 feet. And on the right side you can fit a full 4x8 sheet of plywood. And on the left side here, I'm going to be able to store my non-plywood materials. I decided to attach it with some L brackets to the ceiling for a little bit more strength. I cut up some pieces of plywood into 4-inch long strips. Then I cut some pocket holes in them and attached them to my base. Alright, so here's the wood storage shelf, fully complete. We got our plywood over here. We got full 4x8 sheets over here. 4x4 sheets here. 2x4. And 1x4, then a bunch of longer stock up there that's kind of short. Then got a bunch of random stuff over here. Got pressure treated in the back, got some PVC, all sorts of other random stuff. There's some metal back there. So yeah, that's my wood storage shelf. Oh, I also added this on here so that stuff wouldn't fall out this way. It's just an angled 2x4 and then a piece of plywood cut at a triangle. If you see this little curve here, that's because this one used to be a quarter pipe. Just cut that off. There's my wood storage shelf. And next I'm going to show you how I built this wooden shelf. My first step was measuring out the wall to figure out where to put my shelves. I wanted my shelves to go all the way to the ceiling and to have a 4 foot by 4 foot opening on both sides at the bottom. I also wanted enough room to put storage bins on the middle shelves. My first step was to cut some 10-foot 2x4s to length. I had to use 10-foot 2x4s so that they would be long enough to leave 2 4-foot openings on either side and have room for center supports. The bins I want to use here are 16 inches wide, so I can fit 3 on each side if the shelves are 4 feet wide. I then attached the cut down 2x4s to the studs. I needed the top shelf high enough to go above the garage door. I then attached the bottom 2 shelves at what I thought was the perfect height. As you'll see later on, I was wrong. Next, I attached the ribs using pocket holes. As you can see here, I used a clamp to make sure that the ribs were flush. I also left space for a 2x4 between the 2 middle supports. After checking that my shelves were level, I screwed my legs into place. I repeated this step after shortening the other 2 legs. Next, I added 2x4s across the front of my shelves. Because now that everything that was in the garage was on the floor of the garage, I had to go outside to cut the plywood, so I didn't film it. The final step was adding the top shelf. Because the track for the garage door was in the way, I had to make the top shelf a little bit shorter. It ended up being pretty difficult to add the front 2x4s to the shelves. There just wasn't very much room. But I did get it done. And now it's time to check if everything went to plan. It did not. Alright folks, what we see here is a very defeated man. It's very, very rare to catch this on camera, so just soak it in. Soak in the defeated man.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
And here's me redoing everything in hyper speed. I basically just moved the bottom shelf down 2 inches and the middle shelf down 1 inch. And after that, the final step was cutting and adding the top sheets of plywood. Here's a closer look at the top shelf. Alright, here's my wood storage shelf, fully complete. You can fit 3 bins in here pretty easily. I got some random stuff in here. I can fit 2 of these up there, which are behind this other stuff. Got my paints and stains up there. Got my table saw and my planer. This is going to be the next project. I'm going to build some sort of cubby system where the wood can slide in this way, and then one thing here where the wood can sit up, right? But that's pretty much it. If you like this video, please make sure to subscribe. I'm going to be making way more videos. I'm going to be making the video building this shelf. I'm going to build a shelf on the ceiling to hold some more lumber. And then I've already built this out, but I haven't edited it yet. All right, here we go. Here's the workbench and the French cleat wall. All right, that's all you get. Thanks for watching. Bye.